Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much to Platinum Planet Records for that wonderful intro. I absolutely adore our intro. And yes, I believe in happiness. I believe in positivity. We are going to have a great show. If anybody is having any trouble hearing me this evening, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure that you go to YouTube, the Caffeinated Cooper Show channel, and subscribe so that you won't ever miss a live and interactive show on YouTube. So comment away, say hello. I see you watching. I want to know who you are. All right, let's give a shout out to our sponsor this evening, which is Red Bar. I love Red Bar. See, I have already been munching on my Red Bar because it was a busy week and it absolutely ran me ragged. So I had just a small salad and I needed a little something extra in between shows. Red Bar is absolutely fantastic for that. And let me tell you why. Actually, if you go to their website, which let's put up the website on the show here so that we can see, because red is spelled a little bit differently. So I want to make sure that you're going to the right place. And with that said, it's reddbar.com. And that's www.reddbar.com. And they are going to give you 15% off of a brand new order. I love these guys because they are gluten, soy, dairy, GMO free. Each bar has 10 grams of protein, 2 to 5. Now, why do I say 2 to 5 grams of sugar? Because it depends on which flavor. If you go after the mint chocolate, which I love, or the chocolate is like a chocolate has a little bit more sugar in there. The rest of them are closer to the 2 grams of sugar. Pre-probiotics, so it's tummy good. They come in all these flavors that you see here on the screen, and they also have hot cocoa. They've got some new products coming out. So you've got to go over to redbar.com to take a look. They are available on redbar.com. Also available at Publix. So if you live in the United States in the southeastern region, we have Publix grocery stores. You can get them there. And then Amazon, which I've got to give another shout out to Amazon. They are my personal shoppers. I have realized through the pandemic, through our very thankfully short lockdown here, I don't really like shopping at all. So Amazon has been a wonderful source for me, and I shop out those great deals, and that's where I shop, guys. So make sure that you get some Red Bar. They do have a new product here. I see in my notes, and this is a water flavoring. It has, okay, so the ingredient is mushrooms, and it's the aptogenetic variety of mushrooms, which I have to say, I don't know exactly which variety to be able to tell you, but they're non-hallucinogenic properties, right? But it helps you to reduce stress on your body. Ooh, I like that. And that is, oh, it's in the Red Bars. So everybody make sure that you go check them out. All right, let's talk about the lady of the hour, because I have a wonderful, very talented person. I mean, we were just talking in the green room for a moment, and it is absolutely amazing what I found. When I do my research, a lot of times we'll have the booking agent send me some information, especially if they are highly regarded, they are highly skilled actors, actresses, so on and so forth, out of the Los Angeles area. And they send me wonderful information. And then I go, yes, but there must be more. So I go online, I find their websites, and I look around. In her demo reel, I've got to tell you, there is a clip where she is at a piano, and it's a wonderful scene. We seem to be frozen for just a moment. Here we go, and we're back. Sorry to freeze on you. There's a wonderful scene where she's at the piano, and after the dialogue is done, she starts playing, and I'm like, wait a minute. I know enough about piano that she is actually playing, and she is. So I have Dallas Malloy is connected with us, who was a teenager. And when she was a teenager, I believe she was 16, she sued USA Boxing. She sued USA Boxing and the ruling body for amateur boxing in the United States, and she won the right for women to box. That's what I was trying to get out of my mouth. It was a little clumsy, but she sued USA Boxing at the age of 16 and won. I can't wait to talk to her. I am a fan of female sports. And that right there in that first sentence, I was like, oh, I have so many questions. She went on to appear in several movies and television shows like the Tom Cruise blockbuster Jerry Maguire, which she is going to talk to us about that because she was hired to play herself. HBO's True Blood, ABC Elis Stone, Conan, and many others. She is an actress, obviously, and became a champion bodybuilder, earning numerous titles over the years for before retiring and becoming a personal trainer, while continuing to act and being a concert pianist, recording artist, and releasing several music videos over the years. Without any further ado, I'd love to welcome to the show Miss Dallas Malloy. How are you this evening?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Wow, that intro I'm exhausted just hearing about it.
There are so many points
That's
to
too
talk
much
about.
stuff.
You know, I mean,
Yes.
okay, concert pianist, as I was saying, I noticed in your demo reel, you were really playing the piano, correct?
That's right. You're good because not everyone is sure that I absolutely was. That was Chopin's Fantasy Impromptu in C sharp minor. Yes.
We've got to play that piece of your demo reel to where everybody can hear what because it is beautiful work. But I've got to ask you, in the beginning of your intro, I had mentioned how you sued what is now known as USA Boxing for the right to be able to box as a female, and you won.
That's right.
Can you tell me about that process? That could not have been easy.
Sure. Yeah. No, it wasn't easy. It was it's funny now because it seems like that was so long ago and no one realizes that was a thing, but yeah, at the time there was a rule book that literally said female boxers shall not compete. So back then and this is amateur boxing, so it's just, if you want to have a sanctioned bout, you have to get a license and go through the process. And I remember seeing that, and it was just in black and white, obvious discrimination. It was clear cut. It's just no reason for this. It just hadn't, that's how the rule had stayed at that point. I know some people had challenged it, but it had never, for a variety of reasons, it had never been changed to where they had to set up a women's division, which was what I wanted, And I trained with men. That just happened to be the boxing gym that I found. It was men, and but obviously to fight, it's like, we needed a women's division. It's such a no-brainer, and so I wrote a letter. My mom told me about the ACLU. She's like, why don't you, reach out to them? And so I wrote them a letter, and it just kind of went from there. It just seems so obvious to me. It's like, how can you not,
So after you won, how long was it from that point of winning to now women can box, to your first match, to your first your fight?
Right. Yeah. So it took a while to just kind of all the back and forth with, getting to the point of actually going to a court and sitting in the courtroom. And what they did was they filed a preliminary injunction, I think is the correct term, to lift it so that I could have a match. But it took months. Like, I'd already been boxing for over a year, like I think 14 months before I actually had an actual fight. And don't get me wrong, I was training hard and sparring that whole time. And it's funny because, I was a kid, I was 15, 16, and I was just focused on training. I'm like, I just want to be the best I can. And so we had the first ever sanctioned match between me and another female who was also trained as a boxer. She'd been a martial artist, and that was set up for October 30th, 1993. So that was the first official sanctioned match in the US between two females. Yeah.
Well, I am a huge
took a while.
I
Oh, it's great.
love boxing.
Boxing.
I really, and then
Yeah.
things became very, very focused on MMA. It seems like once 1999, 2000, a little bit later, it was all MMA. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I love boxing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's so pure. Like I'm old school. It's like all the fighting arts and you know the MMA, the mix and whatever, that's fine. But I just prefer boxing because it's just such a fine, it's a dance, it's an art, it's a beautiful thing.
Now, that's pretty young. When you talk about 15 years old and you're training heavily.
Yeah.
I've got to ask because I have a 15-year-old as well. And she came to me at 15 and said, I want to train. I want to be a boxer. Okay, I'd be open to it now, but you're talking
Yeah.
about the early 90s. Did you have any parents that were kind of they weren't too sure, or were they also boxers? Did they fully understand the training behind this, or how did you get to that point?
Right. Well, no, they weren't into that at all. But I'd started weightlifting when I was 14. So I was already like into training, and I just like I really fell in love with bodybuilding first, and just that image. I love muscle, and I just I was going in the gym. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to figure everything out myself, and get big because I just thought that was rad. That's what we called it then. But so I guess by the time I was starting to get interested in boxing, and I dabbled in martial arts a little too. But I think my parents were like, I'll say mildly supportive, but at the same time, they kind of just knew that my spirit was like, I'm going to do what I'm drawn to do, and that's kind of the end of it. Yep. There's some bodybuilding right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is no joke. So how many years did you compete for bodybuilding?
For bodybuilding, it was, let's see, sorry, I'm in LA. The sound of the sirens 10 times a day. So about 7 years, 8 years, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, do you mind if I play one of the videos?
No, go ahead. I think some of those clips aren't that great. Maybe the one in the blue, like down below, I
Down
think
below
is
in the
better.
blue. Okay.
Like that one, I think that's better. Because one of them, I looked at the clip recently, and I thought, I need to. But like I told you, I need to update some of my clips. But,
All right, let's
yeah, I
take a look.
think that's a good one. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. We'll see together if it's a good clip or not. Yeah, those are called that's prejudging, where you do all the basic poses.
For last break. Side chest.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Side triceps.
sport and art. Sport and art for sure.
Please face the curtains, back the biceps.
Oh man, your back is beautiful.
Thank you.
Back leg sprint.
It's such a paradox. Bodybuilding is an incredible paradox because all of those moves,
Face forward abdominals.
I get tempted because it's like you're flexing every muscle continuously, but you do it while keeping this, your face very thin.
Thank you very, very much.
And that's part of
the 5:30
skill.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's no joke.
Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. The dieting for bodybuilding is life changing. It really is. It's not for everybody, man. It's very extreme, but I love it. I love challenging myself.
You would have to. I mean,
Yeah.
to train to be a boxer, there's so
Yeah.
much challenge there. And then to train to be in that level of physique is no joke. And I love weightlifting, but I've never even come close to achieve something like what you have. How long did you train? And how, I mean, training, not only going to the gym, it's your nutrition as well. How long
100%.
is that process? Can you take me through that?
For sure. Well, like I said, I'd started at 14, and then, and then I was boxing, and I was still doing some lifting along with the boxing, just changed the style and what I was doing. And then I was kind of gone from everything for a few years and then came back. And so I would say before I started competing, I was back training for, a good 6-7 years. And then throughout the competing, that's another 7-8 years, like on top of it, heavy, hard training. And it's intense training, but it's the food and it's the volume and the quality of training too. It's all about form, and God, there's so much to it. I mean, I could talk about that for 6 hours, but to get really cut up, it's 90% diet, 95% really. Like by the time you get down to that cutting phase of bodybuilding, because with bodybuilding specifically, you have a show date and you have the building phase, and then you have your cutting phase, and then the show, and then after that you recover, and then you start again. Hopefully. But the cutting gets really crazy, and then right at the end, there's a very short dehydration phase. Let me just say, if I ever have to play in a movie like Dying in the Desert, I can do it. I can do it because dehydration does crazy things to your brain, man. It's like, it's a wild ride, but the whole thing's amazing because it's such a mental, physical challenge. It's just, I love that. I love going through that process of breaking down and rebuilding, and then just, So that's why when I see that on stage, it's so surreal at that moment, because it's the day you look your best, you kind of feel your worst because you're looking at dehydration right there. Right. And kind of some semi-starvation. It's all for a short period of time, for a certain moment. Hopefully everything comes together in that one day. And then, you slowly come back to semi-normal. And then, presuming you're going to do another show, start the process again. So, I love it.
I've always heard that, and correct me if this information is totally wrong, which it probably is, because this is just like what the little old man hobbled up to me in the gym and said to me. So to keep your abs and keep all of that really finite muscle tone, it lasts for a very short period of time unless your nutrition is extreme for a long duration, which I don't believe your body is going to be able to maintain. Is that kind of true?
Right. That I'm not sure the way that question's formulated. I'm not entirely sure what he meant by that. I mean, I'll take one part of it, which is what I'm guessing he meant, is that you have to keep it, like you wouldn't want to maintain that ripped, state for too long because yes, you do get into muscle wasting, and it's exhausting, and frankly, you're barely functional mentally because your brain needs carbs. It runs on glucose. So there's a point where you, at the very end of the cutting phase, right before a show, everything is very small. Like your whole day is like, take this supplement, sip this water, eat this, train, eat this, pose, go to sleep. Because everything is so hard. And of course, you still have to live in life and do work and everything, and hopefully not be a complete horrible person to everybody around you. But it is challenging. So yes, it's not sustainable. And I'm guessing that's probably what he meant. Now, you have all different body types. There are some people that are naturally just freak of nature ripped, but that's not the majority of people. And obviously, I mean, I'm small like this, I still have this, but this is super small to me because I'm not competing right now. I'm still training, but it's a totally different thing. So yeah, I'd have to eat way more right now and train that way, but I'm putting my time into other things. But yeah, you have to. It's a very specific thing. You're not going to just accidentally look like that, unless you're one, that very rare person that kind of just naturally has that metabolism. But yeah, it's very hard work.
A great way of answering that. It's a little bit of a convoluted question, but I think that was a great way to answer that, because especially coming from the youth, they see a catalog that's delivered. It's a swimsuit, to sell bathing suits type catalog. And a young girl will open it up and go, oh, that's really pretty, not taking into account what is your body shape.
Yeah.
So
True.
when we receive, Men's Fitness or any type of fitness magazine and they're ripped, the younger set is going to look at that and go, oh, cool. I'm going to go do those 5, workouts and eat his diet, which is always a healthy, balanced diet. And I'm going to look at that. And it's like, exactly. Yeah. So I do have a viewer, Ken Dodge is asking, have you ever severely cramped up during a competition?
Excellent question, Ken. No, thank God I have not. I have had those like moments of, in fact, it might have been that show or maybe another one, but like when I was on stage, I felt the beginning of a cramp in my calf, I think. And my mind just shut it down. It was like, nope. Oh no, we're not doing that. And it just was like, no. And I was able to, that isn't always possible, but thankfully I haven't had it because I have heard of that. And yes, it can be, if it goes too far, then yeah, it can take you out. But no, thankfully not.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I would not have thought of that. All right. Yeah. Now, let's go back to Jerry Maguire. We're going to step back to boxing, even though everything is, it's fitness. We're talking about fitness. A lot of your life is fitness. I know that you're a personal trainer now, so I do want to talk about that next. But Jerry Maguire, that almost sounds like, was it offered to you, or did you really go after that role? Like your agent saw the casting and said, oh my gosh, she's perfect for this. How did Jerry Maguire come about? And tell us about who you met. What was that experience?
Oh yeah, Jerry Maguire. Oh, such a good memory. No, they actually found me, and I think it was a friend of mine who had been who had helped with my boxing like promotion. Back when I was boxing, and we'd stayed in touch. And I think they contacted him. He was in Seattle, and I was actually already in California at the time. But the producers did want me for that because Cameron Crowe, the amazing director, who's just incredible, awesome person, as well as, incredibly creative and, has created a lot of great work, including Jerry Maguire. But he wanted several athletes that portrayed themselves, and I was one of those people. And so yeah, it was just one of those things where it was, they wanted me for it, and I was of course super honored. And then when I got there, I met Cameron Crowe right away. He was just, the gentleman and just a very kind, man. And then he said, "Oh, come meet Tom Cruise."
Dallas Malloy.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know that voice.
Yes.
So I got to meet him, and Tom Cruise was, wow, he really impressed me because he was just so, I just describe him as really intensely interested in people. And he was so curious about what I did. He was like, wow, you did that? That was so neat. And oh, you went, you boxed. And he was genuinely interested and he was talking to me, and he was standing there eating a fudgesicle, and I don't know what the hell I said, something I'm sure hopefully made sense. But he was so sweet and just a person. And then when I was shooting, I was, up in that ring, you remember the clip, and he hung around and just was watching, and Cameron Crowe was like, wow, he's really cool. He's hanging out. He usually takes off after. So he was interested in the whole thing. And I just thought, that's so the opposite of what some people might think about certain Hollywood A-listers. They don't have time and they don't care about others, and they're just completely self-absorbed. And it's like, well, that wasn't my experience with Tom. I mean, I think he's amazing anyway, but like, that was my experience. So I'm going to love him forever.
Well, I'd love to show that clip that I just found. So this is you.
My long hair.
Yes, you in the. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is Dallas Malloy and Jerry Maguire.
16, her lawsuit helped pave the way for women boxers everywhere. She's picturing her ex-boyfriend right now.
That is too cool. You were so young in that. My goodness.
I know. Such a baby.
All right. Shout out to who trained you. Who was your best trainer for boxing?
Well, I only worked with one coach, and he was great. He'd been coaching for a long time. He was an ex-cop and ex-boxer, and I stumbled on that gym, and it was just kind of an amazing experience. Like it'll always be so special to me. Like all the guys were great and like supportive, and and they'd razz me, bully me. Don't get me wrong, but they were great. And he was my only coach. I've worked with other trainers later on for bodybuilding, like one or two, that taught me how to pose and stuff. And I've learned so much from working with people like this. Yeah. A lot of great memories of that. Yeah, it was special.
Was it difficult to try to memorize all the different poses, or was that just natural? Like you knew what areas need to flex, so it's just like 1, 2, 3.
Right. 4. It actually isn't natural at all. It's really, but you do it so many times it becomes second nature. But popping out your lats, is really hard, and side chest and all those. Like you do them so many times it becomes smooth. But I think that it still is not natural, because, like I said, from here up, ideally you're very calm, and you're just, maybe a little comment, right? But down, from here down to your calves, everything is flexed, and it's just not a natural state, because we don't do that, because it's exhausting. It's like anyone who's done isometric training knows, where you're just flexing with no range. Yeah. Muscle memory, Ken Dodge. He's good.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And thank God, because by the time, like I said, by the time you get on stage, I've done poses hundreds and hundreds of times. You have to have that muscle memory, because your conscious mind is just like, what, where, oh, okay, yeah, it's just, you're barely functional. You need a babysitter on that day. I'm telling you, you have to have someone drive you to the show, ideally, because you're just a moron,
Wow. But that's extreme sports. And
it's extreme sports. Yeah.
Yeah. Women's sports have been in the news quite a bit. So my viewers know we don't usually get too political on the show, but I'm going to break a rule here, because the next set of projects you have a lot of political points within those projects. And I want to commend you and your courage to just be real, to have your opinions. So let's talk about female sports and what has happened within female sports of allowing biological males, granted, going through hormonal changes, hormonal therapies, and competing against female athletes.
Right.
What is your perspective on what needs to happen, what should happen, and where's the value system at?
Such well put question. Let's just be frank. It's absurd. Okay. If you had told me back then, I'm going to have to fight biological men, it would be like laughable. We'd be like, oh, of course we're not going to do that. The guys I trained with, most of them were bigger than me. They were certainly stronger than me. Men biologically are going to have, especially upper body is, do we really need to spell that out? Everybody knows this. It's a massive advantage, varying per individual, but overall, of course, it's just laughable. My main sparring partner, I did spar with different guys there, but we had we had a pretty small gym, but like my main sparring partner was about my size, but he still was going to be stronger than me. He's still going to be faster, but which the thing is, for training, that was actually great, because it's going to make me better. Training with someone that's better than you, excellent, right? So
Mhm.
then when you actually go to compete, but to compete against a biological male, what is that going to do to the mindset, to the hopes, dreams, and ambitions of a female when you know you basically you have no chance? I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, there's those anomalies and you know, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about basic general differences. It's
Right.
like this is not right, and in no way, shape, or form does this make any sense, and it's absolutely detrimental and devastating to women's sports. They must be protected, you know. Um, and as far as someone who's taking hormones for, you know, they're trans or whatever, okay, create your own division. That's what I did. I
Mhm.
created women's division in boxing because they didn't have one. Women for women, you know, a women's division. Simple. There was a men's division, women's division. You know, I mean, I can't solve that problem for someone else, but that's what I did. Okay, great. You know, but it's just incredible that this has even been entertained. It's really bad for everybody, but especially women, you know, and
Especially.
especially,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
absolutely. I
it's
agree with you. You
yeah,
know, you are such a great person to speak to, such a great candidate for this because you did fight for it. You
yeah,
fought for a spot for yourself within boxing
yeah.
that didn't exist before you fought for it.
That's right.
So I've heard so many claims of saying, well, but if we create a new division, then we're going to have to gather the others to compete against in that division. And
No,
that
yeah.
that's
So
that's what women have been doing throughout the ages of being allowed within each of these sports. You got to
yes,
pave your own way
that's
instead
right.
of jumping in to take from another. So,
That's it. Yeah. Like that clip you showed me with the bodybuilding clip you showed. That particular show, there was only one other competitor in my class because in bodybuilding you have the men and women, and then within that you have different weight classes. That's just how they do it. And there happened to only be us two. Okay, fine. So there was two. I've had shows where there was just me in my class.
yeah.
Oh well. So it's, but that's legitimate. It's honest. The fact is I still did all my work and I showed up, you
Mhm.
know. But to be like, oh no, you're going to have to compete with these men. Well, that then so I have no chance then. I would rather you know, be the one that takes home first place because I happen to be the only one, knowing I still look good, because ultimately with bodybuilding, I mean, it's all about how you look and doing your best. And I know that sounds corny. Oh, it's about doing your best. Everybody wants to win. I want to win. That's the ego part of it, and that's important. And you deserve that chance. But it's also like, you know, as I can't control other people, you know, so as long as I am my best, that's the best I can do. But to get back on this, what we're discussing here, though, it's like to take away the option and the possibility not only of winning, because this is the thing too, this is taking opportunities from women
Yeah.
and potential jobs, livelihoods, scholarships. This is major. It's so not okay. And it's like I just can't imagine. And the thing is too, when I was boxing, I did fight to get in the ring. I fought to get in the ring. It's true. It's like it's funny, but if you think about, like, I put up with, and it sounds funny now because I know MMA is a whole thing, but and it's so common, but like people gave me a hard time. I mean, I had a lot of support, but then I probably the dumbest thing I heard was, why would a pretty girl like you want to box? You know, so my point there is just that I had to fight for that. But just imagine if I was delusional and I was like, oh, I'm just going to fight with the men. I mean, obviously going in that direction, it would have been absurd, but it's
Right.
absurd now. It's like, so I could just go on and on about it. It's like, I can't imagine if I had a little daughter and be like, oh yeah, go into this sport, but yeah, you basically have no chance. And for political reasons, even if you tie with this person, which has happened, they're going to highlight them and prop them up, and they'll send you your award in the mail, which happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought up that point about, you know, if you just look at scholarships,
Oh,
So who are we sending to college? You would be sending essentially all biological male athletes
Mhm.
to college. There wouldn't be any female athletes. Like this
Yeah.
seems like such common logic, but we are stuck in a cycle of name calling. So
Yes.
I'm assuming you're in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Being in Los Angeles, being an actress with many
Mhm.
athletes behind you, and you're still acting today.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that just a couple of years ago, this would have been a centrist view. This would have been not left, not right, just
Right.
centrist. Today,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
far right views.
I know. I know. It's
Have,
crazy. Yeah.
have you been called things like homophobic or what even is the word for being transgender phobic? I don't even know what that term is. And we talked about this a little bit in the green room. My belief is do you, right? Be you,
Yeah.
love who you love, do what you
Yes.
want to do, but
Yeah.
don't do anything that's going to harm anyone else. And being within biology, because biology relates to the human body,
Yes.
you can't
Yes.
just
Yeah.
jump in and take from someone else. Have you
No.
been called anything specific negative because of your views, and considering that you're in Los Angeles, which has been very, very far left for such a
Right.
long period of time?
Yeah. Not yet. I'm sure I will be. But truth is truth, and this whole thing is such a gaslight. Um, and I'm just not going to take the bait. It's absurd, and you know, it's just full of paradox. It's like, where do I even begin? But the denial of biology and the denial of, dare I say, science. Oh, interesting. I thought you stood up for that, but whatever. It's like I'm not going to take the bait, and you know, when people are losing an argument, they always go to attack mode.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, you're transphobic, oh, you're this. It's like, but oh, you're racist, that's the favorite one. But it's like, I it's absurdity. And if you know it's absurd, you don't respond to that. You don't give it attention, because you don't, this is crazy. And you don't argue with crazy and irrational.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
step aside from that and be the adult in the room,
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. And just a side note too, is it's it's particularly interesting because, as you probably noticed in a lot of my work, I don't exactly look super feminine. A lot I've in the past, way before all of this current state of things, I played roles as an actor that were trans, androgynous, whatever. My voice is deep. Some of the voiceover work is like, more androgynous. Like you said, I'm all about you do you. I hate labels, man. I hate labels. You want to call me androgynous? I don't care, because it just, I know I can look that way. That's an appearance. But this whole thing of like, no, we're going to take this and weaponize this language, and if you don't follow, it's so paradox. It's so hypocritical is the better word. So I'm just me. I've always rejected labels, and I'm an actor. So if I look right for a part, then I'm that. I can do that. If I can play a part, I can play that part. So I don't think I fit into any particular category, But again, that's going on a little acting tangent. But yeah. So, but I just don't. Any criticism that I get, it's also very tiresome and so very typical. It's like, well, of course you're going to say that, It's like, but if you actually knew me, it'd be laughable to say such a thing, But I just wouldn't waste time defending, because life is short and that's silly, and you don't argue with crazy, you just don't.
Have you had anyone, and this is, I think, a big question that a lot of people, like, it's something nobody wants to ask, but they're all thinking, especially if you're out in Los Angeles, you're working with your managers and your agents out there. has it decreased any bookings for you to have, because your music conveys your views very, very well, and that's my next segue, is that I want to show some of your music. It's done very well. But have you had anyone, a publicist, anyone say, you know, Dallas, maybe if you don't talk about this so much? Have you heard anything that's sort of squashing your views?
Right. God, that's such a good question. No, but I probably will. Like, now that you've asked me that, it'll probably happen like tomorrow. Like, Dallas, maybe you should. But no, not yet. But I just, I've just come to a point where I don't care anymore. I can't take the lies.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been I've just had such a, look, intelligence allows for a change of mind. I've been through so many things in my life, and I've had different views, and I've learned more information, and then I've changed my mind on some things. And it's like, and where I am right now is like, I mean, the basic truth hasn't changed, and who I am hasn't changed as far as the core of me. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, the problem with a lot of this current culture that we're seeing is it's completely inhuman, meaning it doesn't allow for change of mind, redemption, forgiveness, understanding, and fallibility, which we all have and need those things. And so I just don't care if someone's going to hate me because I'm calling out the truth. The emperor has no clothes. Stop lying.
Right.
I am not going to pretend and co-sign nonsense that hurts people, and so I'm just me. And, there's plenty of people that are hungry for truth and appreciate and respect that. And I'm willing to say, look, I've changed my mind about some things. I was kind of over here. I grew up thinking this way. I never really thought about it. And then I've looked at it further, and I'm like, you know what? I was wrong about that. That's okay. That's good. I admit that. And I'm always going to be learning until the end, I hope. I mean, that's hopefully what most people, to some degree, I know I tend to change more than most people. I'm just that way. My mind is very hungry. It's just the way I am. But I'm going to be continually evolving, and self-development is very important to me. So I'm always going forward, but I'll always stand up for truth, and I would rather, I think it's a Bob Marley quote about, I would rather, die fighting for freedom than live a prisoner every day of my life. And that's where I am at. And it's been concentrated, especially these last couple of years with everything. It's like, no, man, this will not stand. And that's that. So
I love the statement that you made about, the emperor has no clothes, right?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful cliche. It's such in my opinion, a wonderful way of highlighting how the lies are coming at us. So I can't even put the right word on it, but they're coming at us so head on, and they're bad at lying. Like, the lies are so bad that it's working against a lot of those out there in our society, in our administration, that wants to force feed us, spoon feed us this junk. And it's like, no, this is even the subpar intelligence out there that doesn't really even gather all these thoughts together, going like, that's not adding up.
No, exactly. Which is great, because more and more people have woken up. We're like, something smells. This is not right. And more and more people are just like, you don't even believe what you're saying, man. I'm an actor. You have to believe what you're doing when you're on stage. And if you don't believe it, nobody believes it. And they don't even believe it. I'm like, you're lying. So
that's what makes it so. I've got to say, I kind of watch it for the the shits and giggles of it. What are they going to do today? Like, okay, really? We're gonna garble over that whole topic? Okay, great. So let's
Yes.
talk about your music. I'm glad
Yeah.
that we had a moment to chat about this, about your views, because as I said, your music so poignantly puts your views out there and exposes a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I have your website here, as we were just on a moment ago. We have, let me look over here. We have a couple of uh, a couple of comments here. I'm looking for any questions. We just
Cyrus,
have
yes.
Ken, we have Cyrus. They're loving it. They're commenting along. So tell me, on your website, which is DallasMalloy.com, I have your new music video called Will You Stand Up? We also have Slaves and Criminals and Terrible. Oh, there's a, is there a fourth? No, that's Terrible. Okay. So,
Not yet. Yeah. I have 2 more like in the works right now. So yeah.
okay.
Soon. Yeah.
I would like to play one of them. Which is your favorite? Where would you like people to go first?
Well, probably I do love Slaves and Criminals because the video is really cool, but I also love the Will You Stand Up? That one. Yeah, you have to pick Elizabeth because I like those 2. I love Terrible too, but each one I try to get better than the last. So,
Okay.
maybe Will You Stand Up? Yeah.
Well, now, Will You Stand Up just came out. This is brand new, correct?
Pretty new. Yeah. I mean, it's been a month, so.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. And tell us about the making of your music and making of your videos, because a lot of what you have in there, you have some singing, you have some rapping, which, I mean, you spit really well, really,
Thank you.
really well. And I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, each one of those words, as fast as they're coming at me, you can hear exactly what you're saying. And I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So tell us about Will You Stand Up? How long was that in production before you could release it?
I'm laughing because when you say in production, okay, first of all, I shot this all on my cell phone. Okay. All of these on my little phone with the cat case. All of these have been shot myself. And then I work with this amazing producer in Serbia who I found on YouTube because he creates thousands of instrumental tracks and things, and he's a rapper as well. But I actually, so I saw his work. I was like, it's great. And so he does the beats, and I do play the piano. Obviously, I play the piano. So a lot of them, most of them have some of my piano in it. So I'll come up with like melodies, and all the lyrics are mine, and then the video, and then I send him everything, and he does the mixing and mastering, and then we do the video together, and it's all by Zoom. We do it together like that. And so time, you're asking, I mean, honestly, I kind of lose track of time. Like I work on it for a few days, and then I have to focus on another project for a few days, and I come back. So it's kind of like that, just because of my life. I'm doing multiple things, but
sure.
Yeah. The fastest part of the process for me is the writing of the lyrics, because the lyrics just come to me. Mm-hmm. Usually like one line, or maybe I get like the melody in my head, or I wake up with the melody and then I start fiddling on the piano, and then it usually falls into place. But the lyrics always come by some kind of inspiration, usually something I saw or something that's happening. I don't know, not that anything's going on right now. But I get these words. Well, like Slaves and Criminals, that I found myself saying to somebody, we were, this was like a year ago, but I was like, I'm not going to let them turn me into a slave and a criminal, because that's kind of what's happening. So, attempts anyway. So that is what happened with that one. And, I'll just kind of be obsessed with a project until it's done. And I'll go to bed with the lyrics, sit next to me. I'll wake up and I'll work on them. And usually, like this last song that I just wrote, I wrote in a day. And it was because of an event that happened. And I don't want to talk about it because it's really upsetting. But when it comes out, it's going to be good. I'm just going to say that. But
do you have an idea of when you want to release that one, or is it just when it's finished, you just kind of go with the flow?
I have to go with the flow. I'd love to tell you. I mean, I just started working with him on this one, so probably, I hope within the next month I can release it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's
Great.
as specific as I can get. Yeah. And then I have another one too that's almost done as well. So I'll release them around, maybe within a couple weeks of each other, something like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you got to tell us when they're coming out, because I want to make sure that all of our viewers have a chance to go and take a look. So we are going to watch the video that is housed on DallasMalloy.com. However, to be able to download the song, you're on iTunes, you're on Amazon Music, you're on Spotify, you're everywhere. All you have to do is search Dallas Malloy. All right, let's see. I do have a question for you before we play the video.
Go ahead.
Do you need a seasoned drummer?
Oh, wow. That's so cool. I don't right now, but you know what? Reach out to me on Instagram so we're connected. And if I do, I mean, we'll talk,
Okay.
But find me on Instagram. Yeah.
He is
or Twitter.
A fantastic drummer. Okay. So let's play Will You Stand Up by Dallas Malloy.
Yay. Oh, that's my reel, actually.
Yeah, that is your reel. Here it is.
Will You Stand Up? I will say Slaves and Criminals. I do a lot more of the fast rapping, but I love Will You Stand Up too. So
okay.
Whichever one.
Will you stand up, or will you stand by? Will you speak facts and call out the lies? As it falls apart, will you shut your eyes? Will you feel proud when you realize? Will you wake up before your demise? Will you stand up? Let me summarize. Will you stand by and let women become third-class citizens? Let her sports get ruined, pretend you don't see the difference. Labeled victim or oppressor, either way's a sentence. Bullied into false beliefs, making your skin a prison. Cancel those who don't agree, destroy their life and image. Say it's all okay so you don't have to make decisions. The only way out of this, finding a common thread. Listen to this one thing, if nothing else I said finds its way in your heart. Keep these few things in mind, stop for a minute, remember a different time. Other things mattered, lives, dreams. It wasn't so them and us. No, a little bit. Integrity, hope still existed. More community, yeah, that is the answer. Oh, and dignity, yeah, division's a cancer. No way to run a society. We all need redemption. We the ones who make it possible. Time for reinvention. This is your turn now, do not comply. Will you stand up, or will you stand by? Will you speak facts and call out the lies? As it falls apart, will you shut your eyes? Will you feel proud when you realize? Will you wake up before your demise? Will you stand up? Let me summarize. Will you stand by and let others' rights be trampled? Look away as we are segregated and dismantled. Give up on your freedom cause you took it for granted. Call it all conspiracy cause you can't imagine. See all through a lens of race creating more damage. Try erasing all the men like that's an advantage. Damn. Maybe you think it's too late, but it's not, that's the problem when you give a power of thought. It's all up to you now, and this is your time. Reimagine that hope and step up to the line. Other things mattered, lives, dreams. It wasn't so them and us. No, a little bit. Integrity, hope still existed. More community, yeah. That is the answer. Oh, and dignity, yeah, division's a cancer. No way to run a society. We all need redemption. We the ones who make it possible. Time for reinvention. This is your turn now, do not comply. Be fearless is today, or there's nothing left if we can't speak the truth. That is our death. Time to be brave now. Stand up for what is right. You can't just wait around for someone else to fight.
That is so good. Oh, I love it.
Thank
I
you so
love
much.
it. Really, really do. All right, let's get back here. Oh my goodness. So the lyrics, when you're writing out the lyrics, how does it come to you? Because I want to ask you about the writing process. So when you wake up and you hear a couple of lines, do you write down a couple of lines, or are you actually gifted enough to where it comes in sequence?
It's not usually fully in sequence. Like sometimes I'm trying to remember for this one in particular. Like I think I got one, usually I get one line, and then I'll kind of look at it, and then others just kind of flow in. So usually I'll get blocks, I'll put it that way. For this one, I remember the melody just came to me too. I don't know why, like on the chorus, it just comes to me, but it's pretty abstract. I'm giving a really convoluted answer because I'm trying to remember and go in that headspace. Each song is different. Like the one that came to me now was a lot more in order, but there's always those sticking points where I'm like, yeah, I need something here, but it's not quite coming to me. And so I'll go do something and then it'll come to me. And then I'll go back and it's like a puzzle and I'll kind of do it that way. I will say with this song in particular, I was watching an interview with Dr. Malone on Joe Rogan. And he said, because Joe Rogan asked him, what's the answer to this mass psychosis? This was like 7 months ago or 8 months ago. And he said, community, dignity, redemption. I think he said the word redemption, but those words were like, that's the answer. And that's what came to me for the chorus part. But other than that, it's like the words are just kind of there and obvious, like, will you stand up or will you stand by? Like, because it's your time. Like,
Right.
Is this what you want? You know? And so, yeah, so just kind of, that's kind of how that one came to me. It was, but I usually get most of it in about a day or two. And then like the third day, I'm kind of tweaking it, editing, and maybe a word here and there. And that's the bulk of it. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is community. Community really stands out to me because it feels like we were, and I want to say were because I'm East Coast. So things here, there's been a lot more pushback of saying, no, we're going to get back to our churches. We're going to get back to our community. We're going to get back to our schools and things like that. So we were fortunate not to be locked down nearly as long as you were, or some other countries out there. And that process felt like everybody was just going back into segregation, and you just tearing apart that community, which is what allows us to be human, is the community.
Yes.
So
that's right.
I love your message in there. Talking about community and caring, you also do a lot with our feline community and the animals you work with. So before I let you go tonight, we've got to talk about that. Tell us about what do you do for the animals around you?
Well, I'm looking at 2 right now. There's 2 cats here. I'm not going to bug them because they're sleeping. You know, they're doing some important sleeping. But yeah, I've been involved with animal rescue. I've done a lot of TNR, which is trap, neuter, release for feral cats, and that because in Los Angeles, there's a lot of feral cats in LA, so there's a big need. And I actually started at my church, and you know, I think, God, I can't keep track, probably rescued over like 20 or so. And some of them got adopted out. I helped adopt out like about, 9 cats that were pretty tame, but the ones that were more feral, that are happier being, it's kind of, there's kind of a judgment call there. You don't want to cause harm. You don't want, you're like, you're going to be a domestic cat, but I don't want to be a domestic cat. It's like, okay, you're a feral cat. That's fine. We're going to do trap, neuter, release. It's such a humane thing, so they at least aren't, breeding and, they give them at the clinic, they'll do a flea treatment and their shots and stuff. So it gives them a better chance, because it's hard out there, man. It's hard, and it's just, but it's a good thing. So, so I've done a lot of that. And I think, just like, I've been to a lot of animal sanctuaries, and being around animals, both domestic and wild, and being around them, and just, like I joke that, but I say this joking, but I'm not joking, where it's like, I learn everything I need to know from watching squirrels because animals are like, especially in the wild, they're just not confused. I don't think they're confused. And I just see such dignity in them and such wisdom in them. And I just think they're connected to source and like God, and I think humans have that confusion and that belief in separation. And so we're like, what's my purpose in life? What do I do? I don't know. Should I go right, left? I don't know what to do. And, that's part of our plight and part of this ridiculous third dimensional realm that we're living, whatever. But when you look at animals, it's just so, it just does something to the soul. And so I've been really changed by being around them, doing volunteering, which I have, in different places. And yeah, there's just something that it does to your soul. Your heart can't be, to me, my heart could not be like enlarged and with love and compassion being around them. It's just like, it just changes you, so yeah.
It's so interesting. When you first said to me that you learned everything that you need to know about life by watching animals, watching cats, and I think you just said squirrels, right?
Yeah. Squirrels.
Wouldn't it be a different perspective if we were here in this life and we only had 7 years, or we only had, 12 years, 16 years, 18 years as a cat?
Yeah.
That's it. Instead, we get to bumble around and make all these different mistakes and try to correct the mistakes and correct the things that aren't mistakes and make mistakes because we're here for 80 plus years, most of us.
Yeah. Such an embarrassment. I know. God.
Different perspective, isn't it? It's geez. So you had mentioned that there's a connection to your vegan diet and the animals that you love. When did you become vegan?
Yeah, totally. One of my cats talking to me right now. That was 5.5 years ago. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, a little over 5 years. 5 years and a few months ago. And it's interesting because years ago, I studied naturopathy, which is natural medicine utilizing herbs and nutrition primarily. I did that many years ago and I loved it. And at that time, when I was studying nutrition as part of the study, I became a vegan because of that philosophy. And it was like, oh, for nutritional reasons, I will become vegan. Okay. I loved it. It was great. It was amazing. I did it for about 8 months. And then I ended up moving and I moved back to California. I was in Oklahoma at the time. I left that business, not because I didn't love it, but it was just like, I need to get back to acting and doing these things. And I still incorporate naturopathy into my life. Like I use herbal medicinals every day and, nutrition. But because my decision at the time to be vegan was for nutrition, I went back because the reason wasn't as solid as the moral reason. So that was just to give you the background. So, but I always remembered that experience and loved it. So then, several years later, again, when I was working with animals and it just kind of was working, it was just kind of working on my soul. I'm like, how can that disconnect in the brain of like, oh, I love you, animal. You're so beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go get a burger. That disconnection, that conflict became unbearable. And it was just like, this doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm not going to eat a cat or a dog. And look, it's all cultural conditioning. It's all cultural conditioning. So even taking out any judgment on it, it's like, why is that wrong, right? Well, it's because I'm conditioned. So why would eating a turkey be okay? And I thought, and I said this to someone, I was like, well, you know, if a turkey was my friend and I knew turkeys and they were like my pets and whatever, I'm sure I wouldn't eat them.
Right.
And as soon as I said those words, I was like, well, but I've already met these animals. Like I work around cats and dogs and like, and it just somehow that cognitive dissonance that I was, you know, dealing with, I couldn't do it anymore. And so that gap in my mind closed, and it was a process to get back to that point. But I was like, because I always said I could do that again. I could be vegan again. That was really cool. I love that. And so I started to think about it, and it worked on me for weeks, you know, maybe weeks and a couple months. And, you know, and I read some, you know, there's multiple things in the Bible that support it as well. And I'm just like, all right, that's it. I can do it. I don't need it. And it was just like so many things. And the thing is, as soon as I made the decision, it was so easy. And there's so many good foods. I mean, it's not hard. It really isn't. And I was so glad. And part of it is mental. And there's just like the process of going through it and just being vegan now for over 5 years. It's like, I'm just glad I don't have that conflict in my mind. It's just, and it's not about, oh, because I'm better than anybody. No, I get it, man. Look, I understand conditioning. It takes time, you know, it takes time. So it's a process, but I started getting to that point to make that change simply by first thinking about it and considering it and pondering it and praying about it. And that's how I make all my decisions. And then eventually, sometimes sooner than later, the answer comes to me. It always comes to me eventually. And then it was just like clear what I needed to do, you know? So.
Yeah, you know, it makes so much sense, the cultural conditioning. And once you said that, I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, yeah, the food pyramid, the my plate, you know, let's go back to what they're teaching children. What we were taught is you have your meat, and you have your vegetables, and you have some fruit, and you have your dairy, and that's what you're supposed to eat. So if you sit down to dinner and it's all vegetables, it's like it's this cultural conditioning that's going, well,
I'm gonna die.
Where's my chicken that I really probably didn't even taste all that great with this meal, but where is it? I have to eat it. It's so crazy how kids will pick that up, and then it just becomes ingrained. It's a part of our life.
That's it. Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think, you know, we can overcome conditioning. It starts by just being open and just being open to the idea and just exploring it. And like I said, I pray and meditate about things, and the answers come. And it's like, but if you're unwilling to look, it answers won't come in. But it just became so clear. And I've done fasts as well for spiritual and health reasons. And I will just say, I can get by on so much less food than I do. Like, I like to eat, but it's like, I think we overestimate in general how much food we actually need to be sustained and train. I still work out, you know, I mean, like I said, this to me is very small right now, but that's okay. That's, you know, but it's just, I think sometimes people are like, oh, where are you going to get your protein? Man, it's so not hard. It's not about, and you don't need this massive quantity of protein. I mean, yeah, if I was competing, like I said, I would eat a lot more. But it would still be about quality. It would just be more quantity because I'd be building more muscle, doing more volume. I'd need more for growth and recovery and sustaining, you know, the workouts of that level. But it's not like the average person needs like so much protein. No, you know, I mean, anyway, I could go on that forever.
It seems like we get onto these fads. You know, the fad of the 90s was like no fat. So all these foods, all these carbo-rich foods came out onto the market, but they were all advertised as no fat. And, now we're like into this protein craze. And at first it was the soy protein. And then they're like,
Right.
oh, wait a minute, that metabolizes as estrogen. So like, no, don't do that. Do the whey. And,
Right.
some of the trainers will tell you a certain milligram of protein that they recommend. And they're always like these astronomical numbers. And I remember when I was in the gym and I was building, and I did some insane amount of protein in my diet, and my system went into overdrive, and I was in constant sugar crash mode where my body was burning so fast and just it was insane. Now, I do have a question from a viewer, and
Sure.
I know you mentioned vegan. He's asking, do you eat fish? My understanding is that would be the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan, correct?
I think technically it would be a pescatarian.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say I'm 100% sure on that, but I think vegetarians still eat dairy, I believe. And I think a pescatarian is a vegetarian that eats fish, I'm pretty sure. But a vegan is no animal products, so I don't. And also, technically, vegan is also like I'm not going to buy leather. And when I buy any kind of product, I do my best. And it's not that hard. It just takes some label checking to not buy any cruelty-free stuff. I mean, only buy cruelty-free stuff, So no animal products, no for cosmetics, and which, as you can see, I don't do a lot of cosmetics anyway. But like soaps and whatever, I always make sure hair products, cruelty-free and vegan. So yeah, I just don't. I don't need them to suffer for my hair and my. It's the goal is to eliminate and minimize suffering. And that's the thing. So it's just not necessary. I don't need that,
What about when you're on set and you have an MUA that wants to put a certain type of makeup on? Are you okay with that?
That's a great question. It's funny because a lot of the roles that I have played are well, sometimes they say you can just wear your own makeup, which I prefer anyway, and I'll just use mine. But sometimes the roles I play, they don't want any makeup on me anyway, or minimal. But yeah, usually I'll just do it myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never know, what products they want to use. And
no, you're right. You're right. And I have to make sure to ask that too. Like I did, like with my hair, the lady who does my hair, I'm like, make sure to check. And she's great. Like it already was vegan, the stuff that she had, but I'm always improving on that too. It's like there could be something that, oh my God, I didn't realize that, was product. But for the most part, it's like I said, it just takes checking some labels and doing my best to eliminate anything like that. It's just,
The market has been so favorable to have so many products, and they're well marked. The cruelty-free is so easy to find on products now.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that so many of these products are out there. They don't have animal products. They don't have animal testing, but they also will label if there's meat in there, or if there's certain types of oils and all kinds of things sourced from animals. It's wonderful what they're doing with the labels and things that you can find here in the United States. Well, Dallas, I want to say thank you so much for coming onto the show. We have one more question though, so I can't let you go just yet. So Ken Dodge, I ask because the biblical sense. So this is the same gentleman that asked if you eat fish. We know that all over the Bible speaks of fish, and despises, I don't think is the right word, but being fishermen.
Yeah.
So he's making a biblical reference. Yeah. What is your opinion of how you translate that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means at the end. No, I know it's true. But it's interesting because, and I should have pulled up the specific scripture, because there's several that they say, the the vegetable, the greens, and the greens of the earth this is for you to eat. And there's several things like that. So he's right. I know it does speak about that. So I think with the Bible, you have to take it in context and,
Right.
read the whole thing and what is the context of it? What is the spirit of it? So I don't want to. Oh,
Disciples.
okay.
Disciples.
I see. Okay. Got it. Cool. Yeah. No. And it, look, the Bible is something I continuously study. So but I just know there is support. I would, if pressed, I would say my interpretation in general is that it seems that the ideal is to be just eat the greens. But sometimes that isn't possible. Yeah. Yes.
Well,
I know he means loves. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for answering that question. Thank you very much for your time this evening. I've taken a lot of your time on a Friday afternoon. Do you have any fun plans this weekend?
Plans? Well, as usual, I'm going to be very workaholic because that makes me happy, and I'm going to hopefully work on with my guy in Serbia and work on this song, and maybe do some photos for that and promotion. But I'll take time to relax as well. I try to have some balance in life.
I heard your kitten a little while ago.
Can she say hi really quick?
Yes, of course. We'd love to.
She's going to sound very annoyed because she actually is the one that doesn't like to be picked up, but she's the one talking to me. So she's going to get picked up. I know. Oh, girl. This is my sock.
Goodness.
I know. She's my big, beautiful baby girl.
She is beautiful. She's huge.
Oh.
Wow.
She got all shy. Oh, thank you. That's funny. She usually gets. Thank you, Mama. She usually gets very annoyed with me, and it's my boy that is the more camera hug of the two. But actually, he's here. Here, hold on.
Okay.
Oh, you're such good timing. Here's my boy. This is Domo. He's usually a little bit more. Yeah. They're siblings, believe it or not. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He's a lot more tolerant of my shenanigans. He was in Will You Stand Up? This is him. He's one of the stars.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Boy, thank you.
Look very, very happy with you. You must take wonderful care of them.
I do. They're my babies. Yes, they are.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dallas, for letting us peek into your points of view, into your life, into your house. You have been such a wonderful guest, and I'd love to have you on the show again. So please just let me know anytime you'd like to come back on, talk about anything else, or promote some more music, promote more projects. I know that you have a filming project that is in production at the moment. Yeah. So there's a lot of things coming up for you, and I just want to wish you a wonderful weekend, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. You're amazing. Thank you. I can't wait to come back.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, Dallas, we'll see you again soon. Bye now.
All right. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you so much for staying connected and asking great questions and just commenting and saying hello. Again, make sure that you subscribe. Go over to YouTube, the Caffeinated Cooper Show channel, and subscribe so that you won't ever miss a live and interactive show. I love you guys so much. As always, we are blessed. You are blessed. Mwah! I love you, and I will see you next time.